Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is David, this is David K Reacts, and here I ramble with articulation, I hope, about a variety of musical, audio and visual things that I see and hear in videos that I watch. And today we are bringing a video to the channel I have been super excited to bring for a while now. This is MOS, a Japanese brass group, Neo Brass they call themselves, or at least they are called, I'm not sure which. And this is a song called Megalovania, and this is coming on as part of Video Game Month, which we are in at the moment for me. And this is a piece from the game Undertale, and more on that in a second. MOS is a group some of you may have heard of. When I first came across these folks, I've known about them for a couple of years now. I haven't heard this yet, just to reiterate that. This is a straight reaction from me. But I've heard a lot of their stuff on Instagram. They're particularly well known for a piece from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'm not familiar with outside of them, and some other bits and pieces. They do a lot of really cool work on Instagram, and they're just fantastic. But since I found them, they've become huge, or at least big, in North America through America's Got Talent. They were on season 18. I don't know how well anything went there, because I don't watch it, but I know that brought them into the public eye a lot more than they were before. They're a brass group, but brass and saxophones, because contrary to some folks' belief, saxophones, even though they are brass-coloured, they are wind instruments, and it's to do with the mouthpiece and the method of playing. They have a reed, which like a clarinet and a bassoon and an oboe do, and so they are classified as a wind instrument, whereas the trumpet, the trombone, the tuba, the euphonium, all that lot have a mouthpiece that you sort of pucker your lips and blow into, whereas you actually bite onto the top of the mouthpiece with a reed. Or if it's a single reed, that's a whole other issue, and play that way. So it's a different mouth position, a different way of blowing into the instrument, and a different way of producing sound. I'm not going to go into all of that, but suffice to say, saxophones, not brass, they are woodwind. So this is a multi-piece band, and MOS does what I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong about this, because I think, unfortunately, because I'm researching this after America's Got Talent, most of the information about them is about America's Got Talent that I can find easily on the internet. But they do a style of performance called Bradan, which blends with Suisugaku Japanese brass music to be this kind of fusion of brass and dance. It's really cool. They move in ways playing their instruments I didn't know you could move and still play that instrument. There's only one other person I've seen move this much, and that's a guy called Leo P, who you folks may be aware of. He's a baritone sax player who I may well bring to the channel, because there's a performance of his I've been holding off watching for that purpose, but he's nothing to do with video games, so that's another time. But this is extraordinary, and I really, really love what they do. This, at the time I got to know them, they were a six-piece group, and it was Remy, Erna, Miu, Mao, Lotta, and Amy, or Ami. On America's Got Talent, there were four of them. Remy was not there, who's the second trumpeter, and I know about almost a year ago now, I believe, Mao, who's the baritone sax player, took a leave of absence from the group, and I don't know if that's extended or exactly what's going on there. But anyway, this performance, I believe, is going to have all six of them, and I'm very excited to bring it to you. Now, Undertale is a little bit of an extraordinary thing, because this is a video game designed solely by one person called Toby Fox. Excuse me. And when I say designed by, he didn't just design the game, he also did all the artwork for it, he composed the music for it, like, he did everything. And this happens now and then, and some of these games kind of fly under the radar. Some of them, frankly, are bad, objectively speaking, and some of them, just occasionally you hit a nugget of gold with one of these games, and Toby did that with Undertale. It took off in a way I can't even begin to describe. That said, I haven't played it. So in that sense, I don't have any knowledge of the game. I do know there's a lot of sort of substance to the player's decisions in the game. It's a sort of small role-playing adventure where you can go through and deal with things in different ways, and the game plays out very differently, and even remembers, when you start the game again, it remembers what you did last time, I believe, and can react accordingly. Quite unconventional in a very cool way. And I think that's awesome. and I do want to play it at some point. Just for some reason, it's never crossed my table. But I have heard Megalovania. It's very difficult not to if, like me, you digest a lot of information about video game music, because it is in, the top 20, maybe even top 10 of a lot of lists of great pieces of music. And you can hear it's a fantastic piece of music. Check it out. I've linked to both the original performance by MOS down below, but also to Toby's composition. So do go down there and check both of them out before you watch this video. And I'm just really excited to see what MOS does with this, because I think it's an awesome piece of music. It harks back, and in Toby's style, it's quite, I think, probably 16-bit, I'm not 100% sure, but it harks back to an older style of sound in terms of what video game music sounded like, but does so in a very contemporary way, and I really want to hear what that sounds like played by a brass group, because I think it's gonna be awesome. And knowing MOS, they'll do something really cool visually with it as well. So anyway, that's the information about that. I'm gonna say welcome back to my channel. Welcome if this is your first time here. If it is, the way this works, I'm gonna watch this straight through, comment and emote over the top of it, and then go back and watch it a second time, this time pausing, interrupting, and offering what commentary and analysis I feel I can based on what I've just seen and heard, and the foreknowledge of having seen it once before. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to decide how often YouTube pokes you about my stuff. And if you care to donate to support the channel, you can do at buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts for a one-off donation, patreon.com/DavidKReacts for an ongoing donation. There's a single tier of $2 Canadian, and it also gets you onto my Discord. Or you could just leave a super thanks here on YouTube. All gratefully appreciated. Absolutely no pressure to do any of them if you'd prefer not to. And that's everything. So without any further delay, here is MOS performing Toby Fox's Megalovania from the game Undertale. Nice. You can already see how much movement they put in. This is awesome. And remember, while you watch this, these instruments are wind-based. You have to have the lung capacity while you're moving. Oh, nice layering. I like that. I love how they break down the different levels. It's such a full sound. Ha! He says as they break down. Nice. Trumpet harmony's great. Nice. I like that. It just amazes me how much they do while they're playing. Oh! That's incredible! I love that! I love this sort of thing. The amount of work that has gone into this video is crazy. Like, you've got the arrangement, you've got the choreography, and bear in mind, look at the size of the space they're in. That choreography includes the camera person, who has got to get all of these shots. That's a one take, right? I think. I didn't notice a cut. They've got to get everything right in one go. To move around, to have the space to do the moves they need. They've got to space themselves out from the wall so somebody doesn't do one of these moves and smack themselves into the side of the wall. This is fantastic. The precision behind it is great. Oh, I like that so much! It's really kind of, they've kept it true to the original, but it's such a different sound being produced this way. I love it. I'm just going to check and see if there's any additional information in their description. Oh, okay. So brass arrangement is done by Amy, and Kosuke Nakayama. Amy is the alto saxophone player. And choreography and camera work by Henri. That makes sense. If the choreographer is also the camera person, they can learn both. You know, they can choreograph in such a way that as they're thinking about it, they know where they're going to be going. That makes a huge amount of sense. Oh, bravo! That was fantastic. I'm looking for... this is great. It's such an energizing... Like, I'm buzzing now. It's such an energizing song anyway, and hearing it performed like this... fantastic stuff. Okay, let's go back, watch this again, and see what I can tease out of it. First up, I love the fact... You know, I don't know if this was budgetary constraint or anything. This, I just noticed, was released in 2021, so it's coming on for 3 years old at this point in time. They've done a lot of their Instagram stuff is in completely varied locations. They've done stuff in parks. They've done stuff, you know, on the steps of a building. They've done stuff in rooms, probably this room, but it's obviously constrained a lot of the time. You know, they do some stuff where it's pretty static. The camera just stays still and they perform from where they are. And then they've got stuff with these, you know, all this movement. And that was often, at least when I was watching them more frequently, that was often outside. But I like the fact they've gone for the simplicity of the room. They've got their sign up on one side. You can see, like, this is obviously a dance studio. You can see they've got, you know, the mixer and things like that I assume is what's probably playing out the drum and bass elements of this. There's nothing fancy about this. They're just presenting their music and their movement. And it's just really effective. I also love what they're wearing. The all-white with the elements of colour, the nails, the hairband in Amy's case here, or Ami, I'm sorry, I'm not sure which way that's supposed to be pronounced. The socks. There's at least one of them is wearing a necktie. Like, everything's a little bit different, and I really love those splashes of color. But the white on the off-white background is very striking. I think it probably also forgives a lot of the, I would imagine, very unforgiving lighting, because these sort of bulbs in dance studios, they're going to be very brash, very bright. You know, keep the energy up in the room, right? That's not good lighting for filming. And I think they've done a really good job within this space to keep it extremely kind of palatable to look at. Nobody looks too washed out, which is great. Yeah, anyway. Oops. Don't know why spacebar sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Makes complete sense. Start with an alto saxophone. Why not? It's effective. It's going to give you, you know, it's a clear sound. It's quite strident. It's not one of the instruments that's got a sort of murkier quality to it. It's going to cut through. It gives a lot of vibrancy. I also love the fact, you know, again, it's perfectly typical, but on the beat. First beat, we get MOS. Beginning of the second bar, we get the title Megalovania, like on the beat of the music, just clean. Why not? But I think the choice to start with a very clear instrument that's going to be able to get that melody out there quickly, the ostinato essentially that's going to play through a lot of this song, get it out there quickly, very, very effective. And then we have Lotta and somebody else. So this is Ami or Amy on the alto saxophone. On the right of the screen right now, we have Lotta on the tenor. Who's coming in with them? Oh, Mao, right, on the baritone. Okay. And so what we have coming in there, you get a lot of similar sound to add the harmony because it's 3 saxophones. We have brass instruments. Brass is going to sound very, very different to a saxophone. And so bringing the 2 saxophones in to add to the harmonic backing that's going on here, as well as you also get the drums. And I'm pretty sure there's like a kind of sort of distorted, almost fuzzy sounding bass underneath there as well that comes in at points. Having that lot come in at once means we're going to have still a very cohesive sound before the brass comes in and brings in that kind of brighter tone that brass have. I'm not quite sure how to describe it because an alto sax is very bright as well. I'm not sure what the right way of describing that difference is. It's something I sort of innately hear, I think, especially as having been a saxophone player for a long time and just, around music. But it makes sense that they start with a set of, like, the sort of timbre and quality of the sound starts out for the first chunk very similar, even once you add in that harmony. And now we're going to bring in the brass at the back and change it up. Oops. It's so slick, the way they move. It's so neat. And it's just, I think it brings such a level of interest to their video. The dance that they do, it's, they're not going to do anything crazy complicated, he says, commenting, fully aware of the fact that we're going to get like a pirouette later on in the video, or at least a turn. But it's amazing how much they're doing because, like I said, these instruments are all about lung capacity and embouchure, which is like the sort of strength in your lips to hold the position that you need to have to play these instruments. And so to be doing this at the same time as playing them is fantastic. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, it's sort of slightly tricky to hear because of the mix, but are the brass just playing ba-ba-bum? Ba-ba-bum? It's nice. You get this lovely punctuation at the beginning. Now we've also added in the cymbal hits as well. So everything is building and layering. There's lots of layering that goes on through this, which is something I talk about a lot on this channel because I love it. It's such an effective way of adding a build and a fall to a piece of music to change how it's layered. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Just to fill in the gaps, incidentally, we have this is Horemi on the far left of the screen right now, Miyu in the middle, also playing the trumpet, and Erna on the far right, currently off screen, is the trombone player. So if I refer to anybody by their name, that's who I'm talking about. Let's go back before that starts. There we go. Oh, I just realized something really cool. Mao's splash of yellow that she's wearing, that's part of her strap, or the harness for the baritone, right? Yeah, because you'll notice the 2 other saxophone players have like a single strap that goes around the neck and it just clips onto the back of the saxophone. The baritone is a heavy instrument, and so especially if you're going to be standing or moving around for any length of time, a lot of players will wear an actual harness that comes over both shoulders but actually comes around the waist as well. It just makes it much easier to support the weight of that while you're moving around and playing. But I love that her splash of colour comes from the strap, the harness. That's great. And now we're filling everything in. Even though nothing has been added in terms of instrumentation, the fact that the brass now have these long held notes, it immediately increases. We don't have that ba-ba-bum. It's a little less punchy now. It's filling the sound out more instead. So you have these long drawn out notes that just kind of fill it out. And then right at the end, you have that da, 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 and we go back in again. Just a little bit of movement there to move into the next sort of phrase of the music. But it's amazing how much something as simple as changing from 3 punctuated notes to 1 long one changes the texture of the music that we're listening to. It builds it up. It makes it bigger. Really, really cool. Great arrangement. Okay, so there's definitely a bass in there because you can hear it happening now while Mao is not playing. I love the choice to break down to the two saxophones. Something very, very simple. We started out with saxophones, so it's a sound we're familiar as hearing the lead. And as we go now into the primary melody of the tune, it's nice that we go back to that sound, but we're getting it slightly bigger because we've also got Lotta playing at the same time as well. Great choice. Really like what they've done with that. And I also love that while we have, then Mao comes in, joins, adds the baritone, we have that nice rich sound we had for the second part of the introduction. But I love that while these guys are doing their thing right up at the front of the video and moving and kind of weaving with the music, you also have choreography happening by the other three off to the one side. We're not leaving them out of the song, and it's still part of the same performance because everybody's dancing all the time anyway. It's a lovely thing to be able to do, so you don't have three musicians off to one side just holding their instruments waiting, which is very possibly what could happen in a lot of groups. And that's fine. But the fact that this is so much more active means that they can be doing something even while they're waiting to perform. I love that so... Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that because they are performing while they're waiting to play their instruments. That's great. Also, I love the simplicity of the MOS symbol. Just the hexagon with the circle in it. That's really, really cool. Love it. I also like, sorry, I keep stopping on the same things, but I love how they're playing with texture here. All through that section, we have this ba 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 ba. It's quite staccato. There's a couple of slightly longer notes, but on the whole, they're quite short and sharp. And then we have this third line. Short, shorter, now longer. And it gives us a little bit, it's the nature of the piece of music, but I love how they're playing with the different ways of playing a wind instrument. Like you can have those short, sharp tonguing motions where you just and you keep it quite brief, but also play these longer notes as well that give for a lot of sort of flexibility to the sound, and the way they're weaving between them in the construction of that melodic verse is great. And you can hear, I think, the difference in the quality of sound between the saxophones and the brass at that point in time. There's just two different kind of feels to the way that they're being played. I like that we switch between them halfway through this because we get a little bit of tonal difference. It kind of, it's constantly being kept interesting, visually, orally. There's no dull moment in this performance. I love that little section there so much. One, I think it's really cool what the camera's doing here. We're gradually just panning away. We've panned back from this group. You can see that something else is going on, but it's starting to meld together as the two sides do the same motion and get into formation. And then what's about to happen here, you have this really cool brass line, and then the saxophones do this descending, and it takes us into the next section. It's so cool. So cool how they go about that, and it just kind of brings us into and then that bam, right, that punch thing right on the beginning of that next bar kind of gives us a little bit of a shift. We know we're going into something different because of it's a short, sharp note rather than leading back into the ba ba bum 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 ba. We could be going back there, but we're not. Really, really love what's happening with this. And then this simple motion with just the kicks of the leg. It's something, because it's being done so cleanly between everybody, it's a really cool thing to watch. And it's... Oh, hello. Do we have a visitor? I think we do. We are graced by Sir Timmy. Say hello to all of your fans, Timmy. He doesn't often do that on command. He says, I didn't. That was me meowing because I wanted to. Hey, bud, you coming to join us? Good lord, he would not like me playing a saxophone. Or maybe he would. I don't know. We've had instrument rehearsals in the house before, and he's not super happy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the simplicity of the dance move that's happening here. It's not a lot, but because it's the 6 of them doing it in sync, it's a really cool visual element, and it kind of adds to the quality of what we're hearing. Really, really cool stuff. And again, the simplicity of the turn-in. Like, it's something that just adds, they're playing something over here. We've got these really cool kind of running lines that we've got happening in the trumpets. I think, who else? I mean, pretty much everybody. It's switching between instruments at any given moment who's got like a sort of featured line. But I love that we're just having this consistency of now all 6 of them doing something in concert. That just kind of adds to this cool visual presentation we've got going on. Love it. That's also really... Again, remembering this is our one take. What a cool shot to have them all crossing each other and to go down and focus on the legs and feet for a moment. And also you get that, by this point in time, you're starting to catch on to who's wearing which colour. So you're also sort of recognising by the colour of the socks who's passing by the camera. There's such simple things in this that are made so effective and also achieved really cleanly. Like, again, it makes total sense that the choreographer is also the cinematographer of this, because they've got that logic of, okay, they're about to do this, I can make the camera do this and see this really cool motion. I'm sure this was kind of almost storyboarded out before it was done, maybe mentally speaking, but I'm sure something like that happened, just to be able to gauge where everybody's going at any given moment. I love it. Nice also that we get that moment for Erna. You get the little trombone solo and then things start coming in. You get the bringing in here. You obviously have Miyu comes in from the side, brings in the trumpet, but I think Amy is playing as well, the alto sax. And that's such a cool discovery. We rotate around, second-person view almost, to Erna, focusing down the barrel of the trombone. I don't know the technical name if that's not it. And seeing just that in her face, and then and then the camera, just as we stop, it just carries on panning down to the line in situ. It's just a really cool move. I like that a lot. I love, it's such a sweet moment there. Miyu just starts, sorry, not Miyu, Remy, just starts bouncing along, and the smile on her face is just like having such a good time doing this. It's great. Nice, we're still getting that little feature of Erna, but I also love the baritone subtly in the background, just like bum-bum-bum-bum. No, not there today. Bum bum da 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 da. Down in the bass there, just coming through just enough to hear, and it's giving so much texture to what the sound that we're hearing. And that trumpet interjection, whatever the notes were that they played, just these cool moments. Like, this is what makes this arrangement for me, is they're using the instrumentation so cleverly. We have this lower brass solo being played, so sure, let's blast the high brass in a little sort of embellishment that comes in between the lines. Great stuff. And I think the high saxophones as well. I love that. Now again, very carefully choreographed motion moving along. You saw how close they were to the mirror there. So the choreographers obviously got their back to the mirror as they're moving down there. And then the reveal that actually, surprise, surprise, Remy isn't actually there at the end. she's off to one side and gets this cool turn into the solo line, and then bang, we come back in with everything. Lovely drop at that point. That's really, really well done, both in terms of the musical arrangement and in terms of the choreography. And then they're all in it while we've been focusing on Remy. They're all back in line again. So good. So good. And I love this thing where they were all in a perfectly straight line, and then just through this movement, they move into these two kind of chevrons. It's so simple, but so effective for just immediately changing the visual tone of what we're looking at. It's great stuff. And even there, the simplicity of walking through them again, crossing, this time focusing on waist up, seeing the instruments, seeing them playing, but the languid kind of, the sort of just gentle walk that they do. And then we focus on Lotta for a second, turn around, and bam, they're in this kind of, there's a word for it. Can't think what the word is. I don't want to say diorama, that's models. Anyway, this kind of group pose, and it's such a simple thing, but my goodness, isn't this a powerful ending? Like the instruments pointing in different directions, everybody on slightly different levels. Like it looks so good. Wonderful stuff. And this is why I think these guys are so great. Like just watch the ending again. How languidly Erna and who was that? Erna and Miu just cross. And I love Lotta has that slightly cheeky smile on her face as we're panning around her, ready to actually turn into the group. Wonderful stuff! Wonderful stuff! I love this. Such a good... I'm so glad I saved this one to bring to you folks. They covered a Final Fantasy VI piece as well, and... me being me, I had to watch that one, so I can't react to that genuinely. But this one I have saved, and I thought this will probably be something fun to bring to the channel, and surprise, surprise, it was. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for being here and enjoying this. I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that I brought something to you, be it the group if you haven't been watching AGT, the piece of music. Megalovania is a wonderful piece of music. Does such a lot with so little in the original, and they've kind of turned it into this awesome arrangement. Yeah, so, or even if you knew this, if you'd seen this performance before, maybe something about it you hadn't noticed. That's kind of what I'm here to try and do. So I do hope that you enjoyed this, and thank you very much for giving me your time. Please do like the video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and if you care to donate, again, those options for you. You can head to buymeacoffee.com/DavidKReacts, to patreon.com/DavidKReacts, or leave a super thanks here on YouTube. Any gratefully appreciated. No pressure to do any of them, though. That's all for this week. I'll be back with more video game stuff, or I say this week, this might come out on a Tuesday. I don't know yet, because I'm filming this probably about a month in advance. But regardless, I wish you well. I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, whatever time it might be. Have an excellent, 12:33 p.m. Let's try that, see if someone's watching this at lunch. Look after yourselves, take care for now, and I will see you in the next video. Alright, bye for now.